What would you call a boy ladybird? A boy ladybird. What would you call a boy ladybird?
Ms.?
For more than 20 years, America fell in love with the gentlest little man on television. You knew him the moment he appeared. The thick, round glasses, the bow tie, the thin, high, careful voice, the shy half-smile of a man who looked like he might apologize to a chair for bumping into it. He played the timid schoolteacher Mr. Peepers. He was the squeaky, lovable voice of a cartoon dog. And for 6 years, he sat smiling in the corner of the most popular game show in the country. To the whole of America, Wally Cox was the harmless one, the sweet one, the meek little nebbish you wanted to protect. There was just one problem. Almost none of it was true. The real Wally Cox rode motorcycles. He was a military veteran. He was a master craftsman who could shape silver with his hands, a man with a tongue like a razor, and one of the sharpest minds in all of Hollywood. And his closest friend on this earth, the person who knew him better than anyone alive, was the most dangerous, volatile, blisteringly macho movie star of the 20th century, Marlon Brando. This is the story of how a quiet man fooled an entire nation into loving someone he wasn't, and what that beautiful lie quietly cost him. Let's start with the man America thought it knew, because for an entire generation, that man was the whole story. In 1952, a new sitcom arrived on NBC called Mr. Peepers, and at the center of it was Wally Cox, playing a mild, bumbling junior high science teacher named Robinson Peepers. He was the opposite of a leading man, small, bespectacled, soft-spoken, forever flustered. And the country adored him for it. In an age of loud, broad comedians, this gentle little figure was something brand new, and for 3 seasons, he became one of the most beloved and recognizable faces in America. Then came an even wider audience. In the 1960s, Cox lent that unmistakable reedy voice to a cartoon superhero underdog, the humble shoeshine pup who turned into a hero. Millions of children grew up on the sound of him. And then, beginning in 1966, he took the upper left square on Hollywood Squares, where for more than 6 years, he delivered some of the driest, quickest, cleverest answers on the entire board. So picture how the public saw him. The timid teacher, the squeaky cartoon dog, the harmless little man in the box. Comfort itself. And here is the crucial part. America was certain that the meek man on the screen was simply Wally Cox being Wally Cox. That what you saw was what he was. It was the most convincing performance of his entire life, because it was from beginning to end a performance. Here is what was hiding behind the glasses. The people who actually knew Wally Cox would tell you the same thing, almost word for word. He was nothing like the character that made him famous. The timid appearance was a kind of disguise, and the real man underneath was in nearly every way its opposite. He was athletic. He hiked. He was of all things a devoted motorcycle rider, the slight, careful little nebbish of the screen tearing down open roads on 2 wheels. He had served in the military. He knew his way around electrical wiring, and before fame ever found him, he supported his sister and his ailing mother, with his own 2 hands working as a metalsmith and jewelry maker, a genuine master craftsman who built things out of silver. And then there was his mind. Cox studied at City College and at NYU. He was, by the accounts of those closest to him, a formidable, intellectual, quick, well-read, restless, and armed with a sharp, cynical wit that could cut. Long before Mr. Peepers, he was up on the stage of the Village Vanguard in New York, performing strange, deadpan, satirical routines, parodies of pompous, self-important professors, a dry, cerebral brand of comedy that was years ahead of anything else on offer. That was the real Wally Cox. Tough, capable, complicated, and razor smart. A man who rode motorcycles and shaped metal and dismantled fools with a single quiet line. America had him almost exactly backwards. Now here is where the lovely deception turns into something sadder. The Mr. Peepers character didn't just make Wally Cox famous, it captured him, became the only thing the industry would ever let him be. Because the meek little teacher was such a perfect marketable image, that was the box they kept him in for the rest of his life. Producers wanted the nebbish, audiences wanted the nebbish, and the brilliant, complicated, restless man who actually wore the glasses was, in his own words, deeply unhappy about it. Typecast, boxed in, and as he felt it stripped of his real self by the gentle role he was forced to play again and again. And it wasn't that he lacked range, it was that no one would use it. When he did get a rare chance to step outside the costume, he was quietly remarkable. He gave a tense, serious performance as a sonar operator in the Cold War thriller, The Bedford Incident. He played a man on the edge of taking his own life in a haunting, almost unbearable episode of The Bill Cosby Show. The talent was right there in plain sight whenever anyone bothered to look, but mostly nobody did. The country had decided who Wally Cox was, and it had decided wrong, and it would not be moved. So think about what that actually means. For 2 decades, a sharp, tough, gifted man stood in front of America, wearing a mask the whole country had fallen in love with. And the more they loved the mask, the more invisible the man behind it became. That is the real price of fooling all of America. They adore you, and they never once meet you. There was, however, exactly one person on Earth who refused to be fooled. To understand who Wally Cox really was, you have to understand the most improbable friendship in the history of show business. It began when they were 9 years old. 2 boys in Illinois thrown together because their families were connected, and they could not have been more different. One was a rough, wild, intense little kid. The other was small, bookish, and gentle-seeming. The rough one once tied the small one to a fence and left him out there bound overnight. You would think that would end a friendship. Instead, somehow, it began one that would last a lifetime. The rough boy was Marlon Brando. Years later, the two reconnected in New York City, both young, both broke, both chasing something. For a while, they were roommates, until Cox finally moved out, the story goes, because he could not stand Brando's pet raccoon. It was Brando who pulled Cox toward acting, who pushed him to study with the great teacher, Stella Adler, and as their careers shot off in wildly different directions, Brando becoming the most powerful volcanic masculine actor of his generation, Cox becoming America's favorite harmless little man, the friendship never broke. The most macho star alive, and Mr. Peepers, bah, best friends for life. On paper, it makes no sense at all, unless you understand the secret. Because Brando knew the truth. Whenever interviewers asked him about Wally Cox, Brando made the same point over and over in person. Cox had nothing in common with that timid little teacher. He was a hiker, an electrician, a motorcycle nut, a sharp-tongued cynic. The man the entire country thought it knew was to the one person who knew him best a complete stranger to his own screen image. And the depth of what they were to each other is almost hard to absorb. Brando once put it about as plainly as a human being can, that if Wally had been a woman, he would have married him without a moment's hesitation, and the two of them would have lived out their lives happily together. The toughest man in Hollywood talking about the gentlest seeming one. And only one of them was actually gentle, and it was never the one America assumed. And then, far too soon, it ended. On February 15th, 1973, Wally Cox was found dead at his home. He was only 48 years old. The accounts of how he died never fully agreed. Some newspapers at the time reported it as an accidental overdose of sedatives, while Brando in his own memoir always insisted that his friend had simply suffered a heart attack. What no one disputes is the shape of it. A brilliant, restless, complicated man who had spent 20 years trapped behind a mask the whole country loved, gone before he ever really got to take it off. But the strangest, most aching part of this story is what happened after. Marlon Brando was shattered. He turned up at Wally's wake, unannounced, the way grief makes people do impossible things. And then he took something home with him. He took Wally's ashes, and he kept them. For roughly 30 years, the cremated remains of Wally Cox sat in Marlon Brando's bedroom. And by more than one account, Brando spoke to them, to his oldest friend, night after night, year after year, refusing to let go. When Brando himself finally died decades later, the two of them were at last laid to rest together. The ashes of the wild boy and the quiet boy mingled and scattered the way they'd been since they were 9. Think about what that tells you. The most untouchable, unbreakable movie star of the century could not survive the loss of Mr. Peepers, could not even bury him. Because Marlon Brando, alone among all the millions who adored Wally Cox, knew exactly how rare, how tough, how irreplaceable the real man behind the glasses truly was. So that is the truth about Wally Cox. America fell in love with a timid little school teacher who never existed, and in loving the character so completely, the whole country managed to miss the man entirely. The motorcycle rider, the craftsman, the veteran, the cynic, the razor-sharp intellect, the lifelong friend that Marlon Brando could not live without. All of it hiding in plain sight behind a pair of thick, round glasses and a gentle little smile. It may be one of the most complete disappearing acts in the history of television, a disguise so convincing that in the end, it swallowed the man who wore it. The Wally Cox the world remembers is the one who was never real. And the real one, funny, fierce, unforgettable, is the one almost no one ever got to know. Maybe that's the quiet tragedy underneath all the laughter. The single most convincing thing Wally Cox ever did was make an entire nation believe for 20 years that he was someone he was not. If this story stayed with you, you'll find more of them right here. The real lives hiding behind the faces that once filled America's living rooms, and the truths they never quite got the chance to tell. Subscribe, and we'll keep telling them.